Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome back. It's the Rich Eisen Show basketball podcast here on a Wednesday, June 1st, NBA Finals time, guys. Joined as always by my boys, Adam Chudwin, TJ Jefferson. Fellas, what's happening?
Great to be back.
What's cracking?
I don't mean like my boys. This is a team. We're all.
Yeah, I was.
You
kind of threw me off there for a little bit.
Yeah,
it's
like,
like
not like I'm like the point guard or anything. It's like we're all one.
I thought I was visiting
team.
your podcast and as a visitor.
No. This is our podcast. We do this together. We're having a great time. We're here in the NBA Finals. Now, as we record this,
You're a little underwhelming with that. After all these months, we finally got to the finals, man.
Is it a big? And my team is in it.
Team is in it.
I know. I'm trying to like downplay it.
Adam, did you notice that Brockman was more hyped when he called on the phone that one week than he's been in person? I've noticed, like, you were super hyped on the phone.
Oh, yeah.
I want that Chris Brockman here.
That's because he was with the birds and the bees and wherever he was.
That's true.
Here's the problem, though. By the way,
Ibiza. He went to Ibiza.
Yeah,
That's right.
Ibiza.
the two times that I've been super duper hype on the show, we lost both games. Like that game when I called in,
You did lose.
I expected us to close out or win that night. We didn't win. And then game 6 in Boston, Miami, I was so hyped for that. On the big show, we were just like, oh, is Larry Bird going to show up to give the trophy to Tatum in Boston Garden? And then they lost. So I can't get up anymore. I just got to keep it. I got to keep it down here. You know what I mean?
Tempered expectations.
So we're
But
getting
still,
ready.
Screw that. Be hyped.
We're getting,
Yeah.
I mean, I am
Get
super
excited,
hyped. Look,
man.
considering where this team was, it's been talked about a lot in the national media. They were 25-25 on January 28th, and now they're in the NBA Finals. It's really crazy. All the metrics and the analytics people said that Boston had one of the best chances to make the NBA Finals, and you kind of read those articles, and I know as a fan, and I was just like, what? They were with it? Were they watching the same games that I was watching, like, for the better part of this season? Like, really, at no point did this Celtics team ever look like a finals team. The talk of breaking up Brown and Tatum, I mean, we talked about it on this show. It was like getting louder by the week, by the disappointment, by the buzzer-beating loss. It's just like it was so frustrating for the most of this season. And then, I don't know, man, Jaylen Brown tweeted out the energy's about to change, and it seems like it really did. And now here we go. They've gone through the Nets, the betting favorite the entire year to win the championship. They went through the defending champs in the second round, and they went through a team that beat them in the bubble, the Miami Heat, to get to the NBA Finals. And I think this is the best case scenario for the NBA Finals. I think it's going to be so entertaining. I think the league has to be through the roof. The numbers are going to be huge. I expect big ratings. I mean, two great storied franchises, an all-time great in Boston going for the 18th championship, and then the last decade or so, kind of the team that's really been kind of running the NBA, the Golden State Warriors. I think it's going to be a great finals, guys. What do you think?
Well, first of all, I have to say that I can't remember a team that people had no expectation of making the finals. This is the greatest run since, I think, the Knicks in 1999 when they made that finals as the East seed.
They were the seventh.
I mean, it's the eighth seed.
They were the eighth seed.
They were the eighth seed that year, 1999, the lockout year. Yeah. And I can't remember another East team where people were like, there's no way this team can make the finals, and all of a sudden they're in the finals. So not only that, but the Celtics had such a hard journey to get to where they are, having to face the Bucks and the Heat and the Nets. Yeah. All three of those teams were finals contenders during the middle of the season. So the fact that the Celtics went through all those teams shows how tough of a team they are. I have underestimated the Celtics from the start. I've been fading them. I mean, not betting wise, but just in my head though. Yeah. And this is a tough, good team. Do I think they'll win against the Warriors? I guess we could talk about that a little later.
Please say no.
I'm going to say no. I think that they will make it a tough series, but to me, Golden State's just the better team. It's going to be so entertaining. The ratings will be off the charts. You have the premier defense in the league in Boston, the premier offense in the league in Golden State. A great matchup. You have the up-and-coming star in Jason Tatum against the reigning superstar in Steph Curry. So you have East Coast versus West Coast, California, Massachusetts. It's setting up to be awesome. So I'm very excited.
Yeah, TJ, what do you think?
Well, just to touch on something that Adam said earlier about like an East team that you didn't see coming, and you said you had to go back to the Knicks. I don't think you have to go back that far, obviously, with the West, but right off the bat, in 14-15, Golden State Like when they went to that first finals to start this run, nobody really knew that this was coming. I believe the year before they got beat by the Clippers in the playoffs. And I should have checked this, but I didn't even think to say it until
I went to one of those games where the Clippers beat them by like 40.
Yeah. And so the next season, I know they started off hot that season, but I don't think anyone, I can vividly recall as the confetti's falling and the Warriors are winning. I remember sitting there going, I did not see this coming. I mean, as the year progressed and you saw, wait a minute, Steph Curry is like a little bit better than he was before now. So as the season progressed, I feel like you may have felt it, especially once the playoffs hit. They won 67 games that year, I think. So, I think that was just a team that just snuck up out of nowhere. But this Boston team, man, the last rites were being read for them around the mid-season point. And for them to keep it together, because I know I almost called you Chris, and that's weird because I never say that. I know Brockman. There was a story about a team meeting, an internal team meeting early in the season, right?
Really early in the year.
So, man, it just props to them. Props to Amy for hanging in there. I can't imagine how bad the New England media was when this was going on and they weren't doing well. But for that team to stick together, to push through whatever challenges and obstacles and whatever chemistry problems they may have been having, for them to push through that, to make it to this point, it is pretty impressive, man. It really is. Because I'm not as surprised by Golden State being there. I didn't pick them to be there at the beginning, but it's not shocking. But the Celtics thing's a little bit surprising, for sure.
Yeah, I think coming out of the West, we just thought, Phoenix looked so great last year, and they had the 2-0 lead in the finals on Milwaukee. And
you kind of seen how that progresses, right? Like, I remember the Bulls getting beat up by the Pistons every year, but you kind of knew that last year, like I think in '89, was like, I think this is the last time for the Pistons.
Exactly.
So,
and they kind of broke through, and we thought Chris Paul looked so good, and seeing Booker mature and DeAndre Ayton become a dominant big man, and they had all the pieces, the good role players, the defensive Bridges and Crowder, experience, a great coach, Monty Williams. You just thought, man, this is going to be, okay. They kind of blew it last year. Yeah, you were kind of like Rich too, but like, I don't know. I thought Phoenix was going to be there. I mean, look, I'll admit, I picked the Nets to win the title. I thought they had too much talent. They got two great players. But again, we talked about it ad nauseum, but we never thought the COVID thing was going to kind of wreck that team like it did. And then KD gets hurt a little bit, but I mean, I thought the Nets were going to win the title, kind of like most people, but we knew the Lakers were going to be kind of, not garbage, but like they weren't going to do anything. But I thought it would be Phoenix and New Jersey, Brooklyn. But as a Celtics fan, I'm so happy. The pride, the way they fought through it, the chemistry issues. They kind of dumped Dennis Schroeder and Josh Richardson. That was obvious early on. It wasn't working. They're bringing a glue guy, kind of Derek White defense. And there's just a maturity of Tatum and Brown and Marcus Smart, really. He's really taken his game to another level, become a true point guard. He's Defensive Player of the Year, albeit that was a little controversial pick by some people. But good three-point shooter, not great, but he kind of became a leader on this team. And the role players, can't talk enough about Al Horford, what he meant to this team.
Amazing.
His second go-around. Guys like Grant Williams, the emergence of Robert Williams defensively. I mean, I think if he doesn't get hurt, maybe he's a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. We might see him win one down the road. And then Ime Udoka, man, just Brad Stevens stepping away from this team. Like, if Brad Stevens is coaching this team, they're probably not here. Maybe his message has run out with those guys. And bringing in a new voice, a former player, a guy who learned under Greg Popovich.
That's it, too, right there, bro.
Him just being able to take it to the next level with these guys, being stern, not messing around. Like, all the player meetings, calling them out in the media, it was what these guys needed to hear to break through the next level, and they did it.
We don't often talk about coaching trees in the NBA the way we do with the NFL, but you just said it right there. I mean, played for the Spurs, learned under the Popovich tree, and when you talk Popovich, you're talking a guy who, other than Phil Jackson, you're talking about someone who's like maybe the greatest coaches of all time. So, much like someone under the Belichick tree, he learned under the Pop's tree. And, and he brought maybe a little bit of that hard-assness that was necessary for this team to have. And especially like you said, a former player, you get I would imagine a little bit more respect from the guys you're coaching once they know that you've done the same thing they've done. You've traveled the same roads. You've had the same path.
I think so, and it's not like he's a superstar player like Jason Kidd.
Exactly, he was a role player, so he had to grind.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, just think of the job Jason Kidd did with Dallas. Phenomenal job coaching in his second go around as a head coach.
Well, again, it was his second go around, so he kind of learned from his
mistakes.
But with your guy, man, just props to him and props to your team.
Props to everybody. Props to that team. It's gonna be an exciting series.
And you know how much it pains me, Adam, to say that, right? It hurts my soul, and I think that if Pial, the next person that maybe if Fam needs to slap somebody, maybe it should be Pascal Siakam, because had his wayward elbow not met Joel Embiid's face, then this whole situation could be different. But I digress, fellas.
If Jason Tatum wins the MVP of the NBA Finals, TJ, you will be in therapy all summer.
All summer? Did you just say summer? So okay, good. You're going to limit me to the summer then, not for the rest of his life.
Well, actually, it'll be weekly visits in the summer, and then it'll be monthly for the rest of your life.
You better check in on me, man.
Before we get to the finals matchup with Golden State, who's just been kind of chilling for a while, just let me ask you this real quick, because I know what my answer is. Did you think Jimmy Butler's shot was going in?
Absolutely, yes. I was completely convinced. He was killing it all game. I was actually thinking of you during that last minute. I was like, is Chris having a panic attack right now?
You want me to set the scene for you?
Yeah, set the scene.
Let's set the scene.
Yeah.
So it's Sunday night, okay? So first off, Sarah had some family come down from the Bay. So they're Golden State. They're Golden State fans, okay? And then so Friday night we're watching the game and they lose. They just blow it, And we were playing golf all weekend too, and we were just like, man, it would just be nice if they win on Friday, Game 6, wrap it up, then we can have a nice kind of peaceful golf trip. We don't have to worry about the stress of a looming Game 7, and then of course, blah blah blah, they lose on Friday, right? Mm-hmm. So when we set up Sunday, it's like we're kind of having our Memorial Day kind of feast or whatever, cookout, grill, a lot of food. Because they're leaving Monday morning, and so Al Madrigal comes over too, because Sarah's tight with their family, and he's from the Bay too, so he's also a Golden State. So he requested to come over so he could root for the Celtics. Okay, so we're up. The Boston's up the whole game.
You can use weed, Chris. Don't feel weird about that.
It's okay.
But it's double digits the whole game. It's pretty comfortable.
Yeah.
And with 3 minutes to go, it's 13. Okay, and then it's 11 and 9 and 7. And then Strus hits a 3, and I had to go outside. We had the TV going outside, too, because we were kind of going back and forth. And I just left everyone, and I went outside in the yard.
That's only from the flex on this, Adam. He has an outside TV.
And I started cleaning up the yard. And
while the game's going on still?
While the game was going on, because I just needed I couldn't just stand there and watch it because I felt the collapse coming.
I feel you.
It just felt like they were going to lose, and Miami was going to. Then Strus hits the 3, and I scream at the top of my lungs in the backyard, just like F-bombs, so loud. I'm sure it freaked out my neighbors.
Yeah, the neighbors definitely heard, right?
So then there was a timeout, and then, there was a timeout, and then, what happened? Oh, no, Marcus Smart missed another wide-open 3, right? Mm-hmm. And then Butler's coming on the fast break. Look, I've been playing basketball my whole life. That's my favorite shot. A fast break, pull-up 3 when nobody sees it's coming.
And he was hot the entire game.
But here's the deal. I thought it was going in. I thought for sure he was making it. But in hindsight, you look at it. Miami got every call in this game. Jimmy Butler has been getting every call the entire series. Al Horford, as great as defensively as he's been this playoffs, he was on his heels. The late look at the wide shot. It's wide open. Why doesn't he go to the basket? He's at least going to get a foul call and 2 free throws. Most likely he's going to get an N1. What was he thinking?
No, I think he was just in the flow of the game. He was on, like you said, a fast break 3, and oftentimes that's a momentum shot. He was going for the dagger. He thought that
he played every minute. TJ, you pointed
it out. He's a killer.
He played every minute but 2 in the last 2 games.
Yeah.
You know what, Adam? I think the thing is you're at home. I said this on the Big Show yesterday. Tired. I think what it came down to is maybe that guy knew he had nothing left to give, and he wanted to end it. And he knew. And also, you're at home. You hit that 3 at home. That place goes insane. Now, granted, if he does hit that 3, the Celtics probably have, I'd say, 16, 15 seconds left. Like but now you got the building rocking. And now that little burst of adrenaline's going to come for those guys who are super tired. So you really don't know. I
Did you think it was in?
honestly, I didn't.
No,
I didn't. I just
you see him pull up and you're like, he's making this.
For whatever reason I didn't, because I don't know if you, Adam, we've talked about this, but Chris and I talk about this a lot. From watching so much basketball on TV and the angle they present you with, at least I am, and I know Chris said he is. I'm pretty good at watching the shot and figuring out if it's going in or not. Just
when it was in the
especially
air,
once it hits its arc.
When it was in the air, you could tell it was going left. But like when he pulled up,
I guess you're like,
oh my god. Honestly, I was like, this is how we lose. We blew a 13-point lead with 3 minutes to go.
It would have been worse than
Butler hits a dagger three.
It would have been worse than the Trailblazers' epic defeat against the Lakers in 2000.
Really?
It would. So? Oh, for sure. Yeah. It would have, because
I don't know, man.
No, because the Blazers were down 15 at the start of that fourth quarter against the Lakers. The Celtics were up 13 with 2 minutes left or whatever. It would have been the worst choke in conference finals history. Thankfully, you didn't have to deal with that.
The only reason I disagree is just because the Heat are the number 1 seed, right? So it's never really an upset if they beat. It wouldn't have been an upset for them to beat anyone, even being down that much. I kind of think. I just think their position would have kind of made it less of the worst collapse.
I don't know. It'd be epic choke job.
It would have been bad though.
It would have been so bad. And it's just Miami. Their fans are so annoying. Like the thing, like I said on the show, half their fans would have been. They were gone. They would have never saw it.
Yeah, it did seem. It was.
They would have never saw it.
They're getting ready to go to
Live on Sunday.
Little Memorial Day weekend party.
Yeah.
Thank God Butler missed. I mean, thank God.
But it was tough. Shout out. Because we've had this conversation, and I remember 2 podcasts ago, we're like, why is Jimmy Butler not mentioned in the top players in the NBA? And then we said, well, after I think he had 47 that one game in the playoffs, we're like, he will be. And then he kind of had 2 games where it was just like, okay, maybe this is the reason why he's not listed amongst the greats. But game 6 and game 7, I don't know if he's a top 10 player in the NBA. He's 1,000% a top 15 player.
Did he make All NBA this year? I don't think so. Right?
I don't believe.
I don't think he was.
Not sure.
I don't think he was even 13.
But it's pretty much everything you could ask. It was, came down to the wire, like a memorable shot.
And a weird series too. The games were just kind of blowouts, and
a lot of road teams won.
Yeah, a lot of road teams won. I mean, look, Miami hadn't lost a home game in the first 2 rounds, and then they went 1-3 at home against Boston.
I think that the Tyler Hero injury really cost the Heat. I think the Heat probably would have won the series if Hero was at full strength. That guy was so important in terms of getting buckets off the bench. He could hit a bunch of threes in a row, get them going. So they didn't really have that spark. I still don't really understand why the Heat didn't play Duncan Robinson as much as they could have.
Me neither.
He was essentially a bench warmer the whole series, and as much as Vincent, they liked him obviously. I just think that
Oladipo too hit some big shots.
But even in Game 7, I just think Duncan Robinson could have provided more of a spark. So I don't understand that. I don't go against what Spoelstra does, though. I trust him as a coach. He's one of the best coaches ever. So for whatever reason, he didn't think Robinson was the guy. But I kind of wondered why that was a situation that was happening there.
And on title runs too, you have to get kind of lucky, and you got to get some breaks. And Boston got really fortunate that Chris Middleton was injured, didn't play at all in that series. Got kind of fortunate that even though they lost the game where Butler missed the second half, Butler clearly wasn't the same in Game 5. In Boston, and then Tyler Hero goes out, so sometimes you got to get kind of lucky there. But looking at this finals matchup, Golden State versus Boston, this is going to be really fun. I mean, Golden State seems like they're playing kind of back at their peak. TJ, you had said it years ago, man. Everyone get theirs in the 2 years, because once his team is back, they're going to be really tough, and it seems like we're at that point now.
Yeah, you know what they are? It's like I remember watching the Spurs, and this brings up a whole thing about, I was looking at Amari Stoudemire today, and he was talking about dynasties and what constitutes a dynasty in his opinion and what doesn't.
Sure.
And that's something I think we can have a talk about at a later time. But, watching like the Spurs and their dynasty for those 5 titles, it was like I watched the Spurs, right, guys, and I'd see them make plays in the way they ran their offense, in the way like backdoor cuts, crisp passes, hitting the open man, the extra pass, and I was like, this team is so smart. Yeah. Like And it was hard to even when the Spurs beat your team, it was hard to get mad because they were playing basketball at the highest level, but intelligent basketball. And they were making all the right plays, all the right, cuts. Just everything they did seemed to be just textbook. And I feel that way about the Warriors. It's like everything they do seems to be the right play, the right pass, the extra pass, the cut. You can say what you want about Draymond Green, but the guy's intelligence on the basketball court cannot be argued. And so it's like, in addition to the fact that you have two of the greatest shooters that God ever made,
ever created,
you also have a bunch of highly intelligent basketball players who have high basketball IQs, who have been in this situation before, who played in pressure. You could say Jordan Poole hasn't, but he did in Michigan. He played high-level games in college. It's kind of really cool. If you can take away that this isn't your favorite team, it is cool to watch basketball played at this type of level, at the highest possible level, with some really intelligent and gifted basketball players.
And we talked about Ime Udoka coming from the Popovich tree. Well, you have on the other side, you have Kerr, who came not only from the Popovich tree, but the Phil Jackson tree.
So and also from the Michael Jordan tree, really.
Exactly.
If you want to,
So he had three of the greatest basketball minds around him.
Well, then, Adam, you got to add Tex Winters to that, too, then, really,
Triangle offense, there you go. But yeah, Steve Kerr, the thing with him that reminds me of Phil is he does such a great job at managing people, managing egos. He got that from Phil Jackson.
Very important.
Steve Kerr is a chill guy. He understands people. He's highly intelligent. He played the game, so he gets respect from the players, like we talked about with Ime as well. And what he did with that team, with Durant, cannot be understated because, yeah, they were incredibly talented, but it is tough to manage those egos, and he did it in such a great way. You've seen him on the sidelines either calm people down or hype them up. And the guy just knows exactly what he's doing. He won, I think, 4 championships as a player. He's won multiple championships as a coach. He's one of the greatest basketball people to ever be in the NBA. So this coaching matchup is great. Probably 2 of the 3 or 4 best coaches in the NBA going head-to-head against each other. So that's going to be interesting to see the strategy shifts in terms of game-to-game matchups and changes from one game to the other.
I was reading this thing on the Ringer this morning. Who do you guys think is the best player in this series? Is it Tatum or is it Curry?
Oh, man, that's a tough one, man.
It is kind of tough. I was surprised. I kind of thought it would be lopsided for Curry, but everyone who is contributing to the article was pretty split, 50-50.
Yeah, I mean,
like if we had to draft a player, who do we choose?
Yeah, like who would you choose number one? Like if we were doing a draft of all the players.
And we're not talking future. We're just talking right now.
We're just talking literally right now.
1:12
June
p.m.
1st. Game 1's tomorrow.
Right now, I have to slightly give the edge to Curry, just because he has more experience in the finals. Tatum has never been there before.
Yeah.
Tatum was phenomenal in the last series, save for that one game where he scored about 10 points. Yeah. Tatum's a better defensive player, but Curry, I just think in this series,
you trust him more.
I just trust Curry more, and that's just the main difference.
Yeah, I totally get that, TJ. I get that.
Yeah, again, my weird obsession with Jason Tatum has been noted, and it's like, what do you call that obsession? It's almost like that girl that you want.
It's like single white female.
Yeah, but you missed out, right? You missed your chance, but you're just like looking at her through the window in the rain, kind of like Mortimer and Randolph were looking at Eddie Murphy and Trading Places, looking at that escargot.
Like that weird Sting song.
Yeah, it's just like, man, so. Would it be weird if I said Jason Tatum?
No, I don't think so. I mean, like I said, people in the article were really making the case. Just his two-way versatility, the way he's able to kind of rebound and defend the wing. And, he's kind of developed a fearlessness to kind of take any big shot for Boston. He really has. And we talked about Curry's, obviously, his three-point shooting is legendary, all-time stuff. But Tatum's really developed that sidestep three that he really does now. And, I mean, I love Jason Tatum too, but Curry is just kind of on a different level.
Steph is Steph.
That stat I saw after the game on Sunday was, I think Golden State has this group of guys have 123 games of NBA Finals experience, and Boston has 0. So,
man,
I mean, experience matters, obviously, but
really
I guess
does.
Sure.
In the same breath, you can say the Boston team doesn't know what they don't know. They don't really know how big the Finals is. I wouldn't be surprised if they came out and stole game 1 just based on that factor. I mean, I don't know. I kind of thought Golden State, just watching them play and how they finished off Dallas, that they were going to kind of dominate whoever came out of the East just because of how tough the road was for Boston and Miami. But I don't know. Maybe that's just a homer in me. I'm kind of talking myself into this. Could be a 6-7 game series.
Well, and oftentimes if a team has had a lot of rest, like the Warriors have, a lot of times in game one they can come out a little sluggish.
Yeah.
A little rusty. They haven't played in a while. Whereas the Celtics had an incredibly intense game on Sunday. And so that's good because they've had enough rest, 3 or 4 days to Thursday, but not too much rest maybe. So I could definitely see that where the Celtics come out and steal game one.
Yeah, I mean, also you got to look at, I might be getting ahead of myself here with this, but, they talk about historical runs to an NBA championship. If the Celtics were to win, going through the Nets, the Heat, or the Bucks and the Heat, and the Golden State Warriors to win a title, you have to now, legitimately, you have to look at this as one of the greatest runs in the history of the association, based strictly on the teams that they had to get through.
And the individual players.
And the individual players. We're talking taking out Durant, Kyrie. We're talking about taking Giannis at peak power. Like, you got Giannis, and he is, at top of the food chain right now. And then you have the Miami Heat 2 years removed from an NBA final with a player who was as hot as any player's ever been in the last 2 games of a playoff series. So if the Celtics are able to win 4 more games, the historical significance of this can't be overlooked.
Just the significance of me being absolutely insufferable for the rest of the summertime.
And that would be the thing, Adam, that would be the absolute worst thing, because it's not like I can hide from him, right? It's not like I can't pick up his phone call.
Every day.
I spend more time with this guy, honest to goodness, than I was thinking about this the other day. Like, a lot of my friends, they're all married, got families. We don't see each other. I see Chris Brockman minimum of 25 hours a week in person, and then we probably talk over the course of 7 days for another hour on the phone.
I mean,
so
come on.
I can't. I'm not going to be able to escape this, Adam.
He'll be wearing that Boston hoodie sweatshirt that he has every day for the rest of the time.
I mean, I might legit get a Tatum Finals jersey and wear it every single day the rest of the summer.
Well, I mean, you should. It would be well earned because he would deserve that.
Chris, if they win, will you get an I Love Tatum tattoo on your arm?
On my arm?
Yeah.
No.
Well, you see that thing I tagged you in on Instagram the other day? The guy got a Boston Celtics.
I've seen that before. So when did he get that? Last year, right?
Yeah, it wasn't this year.
Yeah,
so
I think it was last year.
So we should do that, Adam. We should make Brockman get like a little calf tattoo with a clover leaf or something.
Yeah, the little lucky leprechaun.
Because he won't do it on his arm, right? He won't. But that means his calf, Yeah.
What about a river situation?
I'll just make him on his butt.
Yeah, maybe on the butt cheek.
Yeah, I don't want to make him do that. I mean, it's going to be hard enough to get him to do it on the calf.
You talked about like the historical run that Boston could potentially go on. I mean, if Golden State wins, we're now in a whole different conversation.
Now
We're
let's move to
talking
this.
about the dynasty of the 10s into the aughts or into the 20s, and then we're talking about where Curry ranks all time. We mentioned it last week. Suddenly now he's in the top 10. Suddenly now you're having the conversation of him compared to LeBron James. And Stephen A. Smith said that this week that he thinks Curry's going to get 2 of the next 3.
That's what he said, yeah.
And then his 5 will be more than LeBron, and suddenly he's now above LeBron. I mean, just the things that we're going to be talking about, I think 2 weeks from now are going to be pretty outrageous and ridiculous, but that's kind of what we do here.
And guys, normally I hate outrageous and ridiculous sports talk radio takes, but because that's what we do for a living, I'm here for it, man.
You're here for it now.
You have to be for this in particular, because what if Steph does win another ring?
What if he averages like 35 this series and they win a ring and he finally gets his MVP?
Yeah, that's the thing, right? We're talking about the MVP. That's the one thing that's kind of eluded him.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the thing that people, if they're going to hold anything against him, it's like, well, you didn't win Finals MVP. If he gets Finals,
he has to win MVP this year to cement his legacy.
Yeah.
Well, his legacy is still always a Hall of
it's
Fame
always
player,
going to be there.
But to not win one MVP in 4 times would be kind of a.
It'd be kind of like, what went on those finals? You know what I mean?
But even though you can't, you just have to go and take a look at the stats and go, Iguodala got MVP for holding a man to 38 points per game.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
I mean,
that MVP was absurd. That Iguodala, he had no business winning that. He had no business winning it though.
And then you have the 1 year. LeBron should have been MVP on the losing team. Like, even though he didn't win the finals, he was so good. So But yeah, Steph, I don't. That's the thing. It's like, who does Steph replace if he wins another ring? I'm sorry.
If he gets you mean 4 or does he get the 5?
Yeah, I love Steph Curry, but in no way, shape, or form am I ever going to sit here and tell you Steph's a better basketball player than LeBron James.
What about this?
And I'm 1,000% never, ever, listen to me, Adam, because I think never, ever, 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 ever. Magic Johnson is the point guard on any.
I didn't say Magic.
I'm just saying. I'm just going to throw that out there because I know there was Kendrick Perkins, Big Perk said that if Steph wins, he bumps Magic off of his Mount Rushmore.
That's absurd.
Let me tell you whose place is solid in Mount Rushmore. It's never. And that's the other thing. Mount Rushmore is only 4. We got to, guys. By next week, let's come up with something different.
I was
we
need
say 5, Adam.
TJ,
we don't need a Mount Rushmore. We need a 5
not Magic, not Magic. But I was going to say if he wins a 4th championship. Maybe Larry Bird is replaced.
Ooh.
Larry Bird had only 3 championships. He didn't play that long. He had a back injury. Played till he was in his early 30s.
He also had 3 MVPs.
3 straight MVPs.
He did have 3 straight MVPs. His peak was incredible. One of the all-time greats.
Oof.
But just because of Steph's longevity, the fact that he will have one more championship than Larry, and he has so many years to go, I think this is a huge possibility if he wins a 4th that he could replace Larry as
Larry was 2
But I don't think
Finals
Larry's
MVP.
on Mount Rushmore though.
Yeah, Larry's top 10 though, right?
Larry's look, top 10 that my eyes have ever seen.
Yeah.
But again, we're at that point where like I said last week,
Larry,
we're adding guys obviously because we're historians of the game. I've never seen Wilt, never saw Big O, but I know that they're amongst the 20 greatest players of all time. But if we're just going to limit it to what we've seen, then yeah, I mean,
it's just too bad that the 3-point shot wasn't like super prevalent in Bird's days.
Oh, he would have had so many more threes.
Yeah.
Not even a question.
I mean,
he would have been shooting 15, 20
it,
threes a game sometimes.
Like, so Steph Curry, he's making $400 a year, right? Something like that. What
it's ridiculous.
I guess I could have it up here. The most Bird ever attempted in a year was 87-88. He was 98 for 237. Bird never made 100 threes. The most he ever made in a year was 98. Isn't that ridiculous?
Wow. I mean, Steph.
Bird would have really thrived in this era.
Steph made. I mean, he had 166 this year.
He'd make Luka look like a role player.
I mean, I take it back. Not this year. He had 285. 285 threes this year.
That's what I mean.
Larry Bird never had more than 100.
Never made more than 100. Yeah, he is.
Wow.
I mean, Steph is attempting like 3-4x of what Bird back in the day. So, it's just a different game now, obviously. But, oh, man, bumping Larry from the top 10, that's tough.
I mean, the argument will be there, though.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Give you
especially if he gets to 5. If Steph gets to 5 with two Finals MVPs.
It's out of the question, yeah.
But like I said, guys, I think
we're talking about Steph Curry being like top 5, top 6 ever.
I think we got to, like I said, the whole Mount Rushmore thing is it's over. I won't say it's overused because it's necessary. Yeah. But with basketball, we just got to come up with something that's 5. Is it 5 guys, top 5? We can work on that.
All right, let's get out of here on this, guys. Now's the time. Let's hear it. Prediction time. Adam, what do you got?
Well, before this, I just want to do one thing with you guys, and Adam, I will take your suggestion on this. Back in Altoona, in a summer league I used to play in, what we would do is, once you advanced in the tournament, you had the opportunity to take one player off a team that you beat and add them to your roster. It was amazing. There was this guy named Mark who lived in Johnstown when I lived in Altoona, and me and my buddy Dougie Peffer, shout out to Peff, he's now the new men's basketball coach in Altoona. We drive like half an hour, 35 minutes every game day to go pick this guy Mark up. He would wait for us outside of a Burger King. And then my man would come to Mansion Park and he'd put in like 23 and 10 every night, left-handed, post player with a jump shot, couldn't be stopped. So my question to you guys is, we take the Celtics and we take the Warriors. If they could take one player from the teams that they've beaten to make it to the finals, here's the deal though. It can't be the star. It has to be a role player. Who would the Celtics take from the Nets, the Bucks, and the Heat? One player that could add to their team. And who would the Warriors take off the Nuggets, the Grizz, and the Mavs? So let's eliminate their star players, so we won't use Luka. the Joker, Giannis, KD,
Yeah, of course.
Butler,
Of course. We'll take those guys out.
Ja. Like, who would you say, like, if you could pick a hole that one of these teams has and go, this role player would fit this hole, what would you think?
Man, that's really interesting. I think when I look at Brooklyn, man, it's a toss-up for me. It's either Bruce Brown or Goran Dragic, to be honest. Dragic, I thought, was so important for Brooklyn. Just that veteran calmness.
Very underrated player, man.
Like, I mean, did he start for them? But just kind of coming off the bench, just a guy who has been there through the grind, been there through the wars, and could, offer that steady hand. And if he needs to, he can kind of fill it up a little bit. He can give you 10 points in 10 minutes. That's a guy who, man, every time he made a shot, you're like, oh, Dragic. So I think for me, I would go Dragic to back up Marcus Smart.
You know what I would do? Just because I feel like Boston's front court is not necessarily their strength. And we don't know about Time Lord's knee,
Take Drummond?
No, believe it or not, bro, I would take Brook Lopez.
Dude, that's exactly what I was about to say.
For Boston. I think he would be a good fit.
Well, we're talking about Brooklyn.
No, I just said take one player from the entire because Adam was like, we should just pick one.
I thought we were going team by team.
Yeah, first I was like, that might take too much time.
Yeah. Then definitely Brook Lopez.
I think Brook Lopez for Boston
perfect,
would be perfect on there. It's just to help spell Al Horford.
Sorry, I thought we were going team by team.
Yeah, we were, but like I said, we could just make it quicker. So,
or what about a PJ Tucker? Provides tough defense, can hit that corner three, opens up the court.
But the thing with that, Adam, is like they already have like a PJ
Williams.
Tucker type guy already. Yeah. Just I was looking at someone who I feel like that could fill a hole that they have.
You're definitely right about Brook Lopez. That's one thing Boston's kind of never been able to do in the recent years, and that's why they get eliminated in the playoffs. They could never protect the rim, ever. And so now the emergence of Robert Williams, even Grant Williams blocked some shots, but getting Al Horford back. That's one thing he's really been able to do is like his block on Strus was almost like Bam's block on Tatum from the bubble. It's one of those things where you're like, wow, I did not see that coming.
Also, if you think about this, if Danny Ainge is still in charge and Brad Stevens isn't, I don't think Danny Ainge makes that trade to Oklahoma City to give them those draft picks that gets them Horford back.
Definitely
and without Horford, I don't think you're in this position.
I mean, Danny Ainge hated giving up draft picks. I know a lot of the guys that Danny Ainge acquired, but that was a Brad move to get Al Horford, and to get Derek White. Derek White's been huge in this playoffs.
And then I have like a random guy for you for Golden State who beat Denver, Memphis, and Dallas. I would pick Jaren Jackson Jr. for the Nuggets. I feel like his skill set would fit in well with this team. Again, another team here, their front court isn't necessarily their absolute strength, but I think he coming in with the rebounds, playing defense. I feel like he's a guy who could definitely help the Warriors if they were to have that Altoona rule and be able to snag a player.
He's definitely a guy on the rise, Adam, Jaren Jackson Jr.
Yeah, Jaren Jackson Jr. plays great defense, protects the rim. He can sneakily hit thries also.
Yeah, well, he
he's
had
a
that
sneaky
huge
good 3-point shooter.
game that one. Yeah.
So
and then I don't think he made a three after that.
But he'd be great on that team, providing that interior defense. Yeah. And another player I have potentially would be Aaron Gordon from the Nuggets.
Okay.
Another guy who's a big guy, plays good defense, can hit some threes. So that's the similar type of player that can fill that role for the Warriors.
Yeah, I like I said, I always thought that'd be interesting. And every year during the playoffs in my mind, I just go like, all right, who would they take? I don't know. At one point, I would feel like it would be amazing if the NBA really did like establish this type of rule and you could poach a player.
Yeah, seriously. do you feel like this finals is going to be high scoring or low scoring? The way the Heat and the Celtics, like those games were under 200 total points, seemingly most games. I can't tell. I can't tell if this is going to be one of those like Golden State Memphis games where we're in the 240s, or is it going to be maybe like low 200s?
You have arguably the two best defensive teams in the league, but despite that, I believe that it's going to be high scoring.
I agree.
Yeah.
You have the fireworks of Steph and Jordan Poole and Clay, and then you have Tatum and Brown. Yeah, I think
Marcus Smart can shoot threes, like Grant Williams. Like,
yeah, I could see these games going to like 110 to 120 each. Yeah, I see that scenario, high scoring games.
I agree.
And I hope that's what happens.
Yeah, I've been trying to think about that the last couple of days. I can't tell if it's going to be, because I think the total for game one is like I think it's 211 or something. And I was trying to figure out if it's going to be high or low scoring. 212. That's what the first total is. I can't tell. I don't know. I don't know yet.
A lot will depend on who controls the pace.
Yeah.
Because if the Warriors are controlling the pace, it's going to be high scoring. If the Celtics are in control, it's probably going to be more lower scoring.
I think so, but then that was how Boston got out to such an early lead in Game 7. They kind of really pushed the pace.
That's a good point.
Suddenly it was like 22-9 right out of the gate. All right.
Yeah.
All right, guys, prediction time. TJ, what do you think?
Man, I the other day I forget who it was. It was one of the guys who would refuse to make a pick. He's like, I can't make a pick until I see a game played. I kind of feel that way.
I mean, I totally get that. Yeah,
but for our purposes here, just first blush.
Or just next week after there's been a couple games.
I'm going to say this series goes 7 games. Okay. I don't know if that's wishful thinking or what I really believe, but I'm going to say 7 games, and I'm going to say at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, the Golden State Warriors maybe just have just a little too much and outlast the Celtics.
Okay, Adam.
Yeah, like I said before,
pick against them again. Do it.
I'm going to do it, Chris. Which is actually a great luck charm for you.
I know. So
Warriors, to me, they have too much depth. They're too strong. They have the experience. They have the home court advantage, which is big also. So a good series. I believe it'll be the Warriors 4-2. Warriors win in 6 games. Steph gets his 4th title.
Whew.
Okay.
I'm going to go the other way. Ben Lyons texted this to me, TJ, the other night, and I think I don't know, wishful thinking. I'll say Celtics in 6. They are able to steal one and then go back to Boston and close it out in Game 6.
Anything's possible, man.
Anything's possible. And then Bill Russell's there to hand out the Bill Russell Finals NBA Trophy, Finals MVP to Jason.
To
Jason. I don't know. We'll see.
And
anyway,
I'll sit in the corner of my living room and weep silently for what may have been.
Well, TJ's guitar silently. All right, it's going to be an awesome NBA Finals, though. Thanks for tuning in with us, and we'll check in next week after a couple games. Thanks for watching.
Peace.